All right. This is the reorganization meeting for 2021 of the Hopatcong Borough Land Use Board. The first order of business was just my announcement to state this meeting is being held in compliance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec. It has been properly advertised and certified by the Secretary. Now, would everyone join me in a salute to the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty
and justice for
all.
Okay. Hopefully everyone has a copy of the agenda, and we have oaths to administer. The individuals who are going to participate, please have your oaths in front of you. Danielle has, in bold type, indicated the names of the individuals and your position next to the last line. So if everyone that's listening, please raise your right hand. Okay. And repeat after me. I,
Philip P. Riley,
Mark Gaffney,
and Tappan. Richard Schindler.
Mayor Francis, you're in there?
I
Okay.
did mine. I did my oath already.
Oh, okay. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I
That
will
I will
support the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the
and the
Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
That I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the
authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly
impartially and
justly
perform all the duties of
perform all the duties
all the duties of
Class 4 Land Use Member,
Mayor designee Class 3 land use member
of the Borough of Hopatcong,
of the Borough of Hopatcong,
Hopatcong,
to the best of my
to the
ability.
best of my ability.
best of my abilities.
best of my ability.
God.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Now, you could each sign your oath of office and then send them back to Danielle. There's something to do. The first order of business is the taking nominations for the chairperson for the Land Use Board for 2021. Do we have any nominations?
Nominate Alan Gilbert, Chairman.
second.
Second, third,
Are
Fourth,
there any other? Hearing none. Danielle, could you please call the roll?
Yeah, hold on one second. Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
yes,
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
yes.
Councilman Schindler,
yes.
Mayor Francis.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, anyway.
You'll take a nomination
Alan,
first.
There you go, Alan, you're set.
thank you. All right, you want me to take over from here,
You
Bill?
can take over. Sure. Mhm.
Okay. Let's stop for a moment and go back to the beginning, and let's appoint a land use attorney for 2021. Would somebody like to
I'll make
nominate?
a motion for Bill Haggerty.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, are there any additional nominees? Danielle, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
yes,
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Toppin,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. I had spoken to Mr. Haggerty earlier before the meeting began, and we realized that until we're actually aboard, we can't appoint an attorney. So the attorney has now been appointed. We'll now move on to nominations of vice chairperson. Does anybody have a nomination at this time?
Robert Ray.
Alan, wait, Alan, should we do a roll call first?
We did.
Well,
Like an official roll call?
Let's
sure.
do it. That's a good
Okay,
idea.
go ahead.
Mr. Bongiovanni? Mr. Duncan?
Yes, here.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Here.
Mr. Rayhill? Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Toppin?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Okay. Nomination of a vice chairman.
I nominate Bobby Ray.
Second.
Additional nominations? I would like to nominate Phil Riley.
Oh.
Oh,
Do we have a second? Well, there's no second. Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask Danielle to call the roll.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yep.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't supposed to call him. Sorry.
All right.
Mr. Toppin?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
No. Meeting schedule. We will set the schedule as you see in part C, resolution number 2021-03-2021 meeting dates. Tonight is the reorganization, and then we have basically 2 meetings a month with the exception of June and November. We have other items that have to be taken care of in those months. There's a primary election in June. There's a general election in November. Do we have a motion to accept the reorganizational dates?
Alan, I have a quick question. This goes
Yes.
out to the attorney. Should we indicate that the meeting will be on Zoom until further notice, or do we just keep it like it is?
I think we can keep it like it is. I think the mayor has made it pretty clear that we're not going to have any meetings in town which are in person, and that
Right.
all borough meetings are going to be held by Zoom. So I
Mr.
think
Haggerty, you were coming in? You're muted. No, you're muted.
You're still muted, Bill.
Still muted, Bill. There we go.
There you go.
Okay. Sorry, it just kicked out on me. Okay.
All right. Did you have something to say about that, Bill?
Repeat again. My computer shut down.
Oh,
It went-
okay.
The only question I had was on the schedule for the meetings. I didn't know if we should indicate them that they would be via Zoom until further notice.
I think, yeah, yes.
You can go either way with that. It really doesn't matter. What we're going to do is say we're going to have the meetings, whatever media we need to put them in. That's up to us. So the legislation and executive orders allow us to have meetings in person, but I recommend strongly to the boards, especially if there's more than 10 people or 12 people, that they have it via Zoom.
Mhm.
And I just thought it would be a good idea if the board memorialized that. That's where I was going with that, Mike.
Okay.
That's fair.
All right. So does somebody want to make a a motion to adopt the schedule as it's published with the proviso that all meetings will be held via Zoom. Until
Make that
further-
motion.
Second.
Made that motion. Mr. Tappan seconded.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Resolution designating official newspapers, the Herald and Sunday Herald. If not available, the Daily Record may be utilized as an alternate. Somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Resolution 05, required disclosure contracts. Motion is in order to adopt a resolution authorizing the award of required disclosure contracts for professional services. Does somebody want to make the motion?
Make a motion. Second.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis.
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. And resolution 06, appointment of secretary. Motion is in order to appoint Danielle Rennie as the secretary for the Land Use Board of the Borough of Hopatcong for the
Absolutely.
year 2021. Otherwise, we don't have any minutes up to this point.
So moved.
So,
Second.
second,
Second,
third,
Fourth.
fifth.
Plus her dog.
Gotta have the dog.
Oh, yes.
We're
a package
deal.
Package deal, exactly.
Mr. Duncan,
We'll take it. You're worth it.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yep.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Absolutely.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Minutes. The minutes of the meeting of December 15th, 2020 were distributed electronically. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
None.
Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
Make a motion. Second.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Now we'll get down to the business at hand. We will start with an extension. Raymond Blanchfield, 11 Waterloo Road, would like to apply for an extension of the approval granted in January of 2019. Let me check with Mr. Haggerty. Bill, he's asking for approval of extension to build his garage. The original resolution approved the garage and an addition to the house. The addition was already done within the timeline, so he just wants to proceed with the garage now. Does he need an extension of that?
You know, the ordinance, if the work is actually, I didn't realize that he'd done that work. If he's already started the work, I don't believe that he does. The
That's
board,
what I thought.
under our ordinance, can grant an extension for a one-year period without any further notification. But I think if he started work pursuant to the variance approval, he doesn't need it.
And it's my understanding, is Mr. Blanchfield, are you here?
Yes, I am.
And it's my understanding that you have already completed the second floor addition. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, then, as Mr. Haggerty has said, then you don't need any extension in order to continue with the garage now.
Well, hang on. Has the extension that he did on the house been approved by the building department and everything signed off on?
Well, it was approved by us with a resolution of memorialization dated in January 15th, memorialized January 15th, 2019.
Now, I'm just saying, has the paperwork been done on part A of the project, and is part B about to take place, or is that sometime in the future? In other words,
What
is
difference
it
does it make?
a force loop, or is it a delay action? Now it's another year. That's
It
why I'm
doesn't
asking.
matter.
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't
We
think
gave
it
him
matters.
approval.
He got the approval for the two things. He's done the one. He just wants to continue with the second one now.
Okay, but what would be the time frame that he would have to do that then? There's got to be a limit to it.
Yeah. I'm just looking. Bill Donegan, do you have that?
Well, the reason I would not put somebody through this if I didn't have to, but I believe the ordinance on the timeline on the variance, it says that the work for each of the items that are approved start within the 2 years, and that's the reason I had not. When Mr. Blanchfield asked me about this, I said, the fact that you have not started the work on the garage yet, that's why I suggested he come ask for the extension. As far as the time frame is concerned, I would have to search for that, and I might drop off because I'm going to go to the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've had problems with this before of people starting and just continuing for years and years and years, and there is no such thing as a drop dead date for completion.
I think once they start, they have forever.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Is that right, Bill?
Yeah. Just concerned with what Bill Donegan indicated about the duration of variances, whether you have to start each and every aspect of the project. There's distinct aspects of this project with the housework and the garage work, and I'm just trying to find that it's not indexed very well in your index here, and I'm just going through it to see if I can locate it. Found it,
But they were not separate applications. There was one application, correct?
Yes, it was just a
Well,
single
that's it.
application.
That's it.
He's complying with the one application. That's it. He didn't bifurcate it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Still two parts.
No, it's not two parts. It's
Ah.
one application with many.
One application.
That's right.
I think Bill saw it my way.
I'm pretty comfortable with what I said about each and every structure in the approval. Would it just be not hurt to just grant the extension?
Right. It doesn't hurt anything.
So then I will make a
Blanchfield,
motion
will you
for
be
an
starting the
extension.
garage within the year?
Yeah.
Mr. Blanchfield, would
Yes,
you be
I'm sorry?
starting the garage within the year?
I certainly will.
Okay, then why don't we go ahead and have a motion for the extension, and that'll take care of the whole thing.
Councilman Schindler already did that.
Second.
Second.
There you go.
Okay, Danielle, make sure you only call appropriate number, Danielle.
Yes. Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yep.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Toppin,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis.
Yes, but Mr. Haggerty, please clarify this for the board so we don't go through this again.
Yeah, I will. I'm going
Thank you.
to section. I know it's in here. I'm just not picking it up right now.
All right.
And Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Blanchfield, no problem. You can go ahead with the extension.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Now we have a work session. Lenny Demendon and Jonathan Schwartz on 452 Lakeside Boulevard. You want to discuss a plan to convert the existing school structure, that's the Hudson Maxim School, into an apartment building to house individual adults with developmental disabilities. It would house up to 48 residents in a supervised settings, and this would be a for-profit company. So are Mr. Dementman and Mr. Schwartz here?
Mr. Chairman, this is Michael Salvaggi. They're both here. I'm their attorney for this evening.
Okay.
Kind of give them a hand. We appreciate you giving us an opportunity to appear before you. For me, I mean, I do a lot of land use, and normally I'm arguing or pushing an application to get an approval. Tonight is a little different. I think given the nature of the use that we're looking for, which is housing for individuals with developmental disabilities, as you eloquently indicated at the Hudson Maxim School, that school is currently subject to an auction. And Larry Jonathan and their other partner, Wendy, are interested in potentially bidding on that and converting the school, much like a plan that was presented to you last spring. However, there's been activity with respect to this property. I know last year there was an area of need, a report to designate the property as an area in need of redevelopment. And what we're really looking for is your honest opinion about what you believe as the planners for the community would feel about this project. And the reason why we're doing this is, this would be an expensive proposition, not only to acquire the property, but to also go through the approval process and then subsequently build it out. And ultimately, we're dealing with a population that, while they can live in a supervised setting, it's important for them to feel that they are, not only for them, but for their families, to feel that they're going to be an integrated and integral part of this neighborhood. And what we want is to know if that's something that Hopatcong is interested in pursuing. And if not, look, that's fine. We would rather have a candid conversation about it now than having title to the property and arguing about it in the context of a contested land use application 6 months from now. So what I'd like to do is just to give you some background about what we believe the project would entail, is to have Mr. Schwartz, who's on. He's on somewhere. It's like the Brady Bunch. Okay. So, Jonathan, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Why don't you just, kind of talk the board through what you and Larry and Wendy kind of envisioning could happen with this site if you were to be the successful bidders at the auction.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you again, everybody, for giving us the platform to speak here. As Mike described, we're looking to provide a home for developmentally disabled adults in an independent and productive environment where they can learn and live and grow and serve a purpose to a greater community. Involved in that would be outreach programs. We would make a vow to the parents that and to the Department of Developmentally Disabled that our residents would be productive members of the community. So that is our goal. That is our main goal. And included in that would be outreach programs to help. We could sit with the community and determine some needs that they might have, and how we could be of service. So it's not just it's in everybody's interest that we do that. The building itself, we would convert the school into approximately 40 unit apartments ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms. with a 4-to-1 ratio of support staff to residents. So we would have, definitely have a big support staff, on hand. The amenities in the building would include a chef and teaching kitchen, commercial grade, gymnasium in the auditorium, meeting rooms, recreation rooms, outdoor amenities, including a garden and a recreation area. One thing to keep in mind is we would be adding very limited traffic. Our residents would not, don't have driver's licenses, so they wouldn't be driving cars or boats for that matter. So I don't think we would be adding to any traffic. On staff, the support staff, we have licensed speech pathologists, nurses, social workers, skills training and oversight. Again, a ratio of 4-to-1. We plan on integrating somewhat into the community as far as there is a retail space across the street that we envision as a cafe that we could employ our residents, that we can cook baked goods and serve coffee. As well, there's a nearby shack that we noticed that we envision possibly as a concession stand somewhere near the beach. Anything that we could do to be of service to the community, provide, needed services and help. The elderly population, we know that there's a community center there. Any needs that they have, food, companionship, volunteer work, anything that they need, we feel that we could be of help there as well. So we would be a for-profit organization, therefore, tax paying on the facilities in the business, which I think would be helpful for the town, as well as providing affordable housing credits to the community if they're needed. So we'll be adding approximately 60 consumers to the community. Keeping in mind our residents will be buying coffee and ice cream, shopping at the markets, getting their hair cut, manicures, consumers. I wanted to stress that this is not, we're stay at home, people. We want to be out in the community buying your goods. So that's really what I have prepared. And I'm, obviously open to any questions you guys might have.
So that's really it. As we had said earlier, we look, anytime you take on an enterprise like this, you want to be welcomed in the community. Personally, I've been involved with the developmentally disabled community for almost 30 years, and done group homes and everything else. And the success for the residents is most apparent in those communities right from the outset, where people, embrace the proposal, and that doesn't mean, you guys are, if you feel differently, you have something animosity against individuals with disabilities. I am not suggesting that at all. But this is a large building. Again, you've looked at it as an area in need of redevelopment. I am certain there's probably been many discussions about what to do with the school. And if this is a use that you think might be attractive, well then Larry, Wendy, and Jonathan will go to the auction and try to pursue it. If it's something that you just don't think is something that you envision here, maybe there's some legitimate logistics issues that we're not even aware of. That's fine too. We would rather know now, as I said, than find out 6-7 months from now. So with that, if you have questions, Jonathan's here, Larry's here, Wendy as well. They're all three will be intimately involved in this. And I guess, Mr. Chairman, we're open.
Just wanted to, before anybody asks any questions, I just wanted to add something to what Jonathan was saying. When he said 60 consumers to the area that we're looking to add. It's really broken down with about 40 residents, and the other 20 would be the staff. And the idea here behind this, just in a general sense, is that it's not like an institutional home that some of you could envision. The idea behind this, and this is what the new trend has been lately, is to give these people with disabilities an ability to live a normal life, right? So to live a life where they could be integrated in the community and live a semi-normal life. They don't drive, but they'll be taking public transportation. What we like about this location is that it gives them an opportunity to walk to town, to be able to run their errands, maybe get a job at a local grocery store. And what Jonathan was saying, we intend to rent a place where we're looking to run a kitchen out of, to have these people participate in the community and help elders and so on and so forth, right? So, and maybe Wendy, I don't know if you want to add anything to what I just said.
Yeah, so basically what Lenny is saying is that we our folks, we like to be involved in the community. So I've worked with the developmentally disabled for many years. I run 7 group homes in Maplewood and South Orange. And, we are ingrained in the community in Maplewood and South Orange. We're looking to do something out in Lake Hopatcong because this building became available, and we just, see such a vision for this. And we think that it could help all parties involved, from the community to our folks. It's right on the lake. We see, just so much out there, and we can help the community do Meals on Wheels for elders, get involved with the community center there, and bring the community into us and us out to them. So, there's a lot. I mean, I was so excited when I saw this, and we've been pushing for this for the past year, and we've just gotten to the point where we can be in front of you folks. So, I hope you guys are on board with us, because we really see it as something great.
Let me ask a question, if I could. One of you mentioned the possibility of the residents using transportation. Well, we don't really have public transportation up here. So what transportation did you envision they're using?
Well, we will actually have our own transportation. If our folks go to day programs and such outside of the area, then we will use our own vans. I think Lenny was talking about, I think there is a van line that goes out there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not.
Not that, well, there's Sussex County transportation.
Yes. Yeah, Alan, I don't want to correct you, but
ahead,
yeah,
Ron.
there is the Skylands Transportation, that is a federally transportation agency that's through the county, that anybody that's eligible can use those rides.
Right, but we would not be using that to take our folks to day program. We will have our own transportation. That would be used for if one of our folks gets a job, at the ShopRite, or that's something that we could work on. We're not counting on that. We're counting on our own transportation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and speaking of transportation, I did notice in the ad for the auction, it indicated that there's a possibility of additional parking. And that made me send emails to our attorney and our engineer and our mayor, because I thought that the parking lot had been designated as reserved for the borough. And that brings up a question. Do you have any need for that parking? And has that been explained to you in the auction information?
I thought that the across the street parking was going to be included. Originally it wasn't, and then it was. So I'm not.
Okay, well, there's a problem with that, because first of all, a portion of that parking lot is not even school property. A portion of that parking lot is actually borough property, which we have all intentions of reclaiming. years ago when the project was first, when the Green Tree project was first approved, it was contingent upon the use of that parking lot as a borough parking lot when school is not in session. And unfortunately, the school board never did reach an agreement with Green Tree and never did sign anything. But there are still people involved with the Board of Education and the schools in Hopatcong who were involved with the discussions of that.
So Alan, if I can add to that, there is actually an easement that is given to the town, and basically the school is able to use it for functions. But now that the school is not being functional there, they really don't have any other use for that parking. So really, the town is handling that for technically public parking, and we're doing the maintenance and everything for it. So just for the applicant, you should really drill down and do your due diligence with that easement and with that property.
Yeah, I do know that a portion of that parking lot is actually owned by the school board, because I was on the school board when we made the transfer from, we traded properties with somebody else. But yes, the applicants should definitely do their due diligence in terms of parking.
So, a little bit to what Jonathan was saying is that we really don't have any, we need some parking, but certainly not that big parking lot. Go ahead, Lenny, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say that there is some parking available right on the school property, right next to the school.
So would it be possible, I know that when the school was in session, you guys, I think that street right in front of the building was was closed off, I believe. And there was parking, right? And there was parking spots in front. Yes. Would that be a possibility?
Well, you'd have to discuss that with the mayor and council.
Nothing is impossible. By that I mean, if it looks like it's going to benefit the community and benefit whatever we're doing with that property, then the answer is it bears some conversation with our planner and come back to the planning board and see what it looks like. When it comes to a question like that, I would never say never. Actually, the school took some liberties with parking there, but that's in the past. But moving forward, I think that might be a worthwhile conversation.
Okay.
I have my own thoughts on it as we move forward with it. It might not be as conventional as conventional thought is. So, but that's when it comes to the parking, I don't think that's impossible to discuss dual usage or usage with even with the school. When I think that's something that we can have a conversation about, and I don't think that's something that we can't solve with some intelligent agreements.
Right.
I know that sounds like, and the reality is that I think when we started looking at that parking lot, there are 14 parking spots that infringe on a 50-foot right-of-way on the back section of that parking lot. So technically, most of them are on the borough right-of-way there that we intend to improve. But I just don't think it's that big of a deal to when we talk about it. I don't know that it's going to affect what you want to do a heck of a lot, quite truthfully.
Right. I agree.
Right. I just wanted to bring it up to so that that you folks who are looking at the property are aware of it. That it has to be discussed. You also mentioned the possibility of up to 3-bedroom apartments. Did I hear?
Yes. Yeah. If you want me to explain further, we've envisioned most of them being studios and 1-bedrooms, but in the new wing of the school, it might be best use to have 3-bedroom apartments because of the window configuration and the way it's laid out.
Okay.
We're only talking about four apartments, if anything, being 3-bedroom.
Is what you're doing there similar to the Smile group home?
Yes, I believe so. I don't know a lot about Smile, but yes, I do believe that it's pretty similar.
It sounds like that's what you're describing.
Yeah,
Smile's
I
an
mean,
individual house, right?
Well, it's
Yeah.
an individual house with multiple people there.
residents.
Correct. That's what Wendy manages right now. So she pictures what she does is manage about seven Smile houses in the Maplewood and South Orange area. So they're the seven Smile houses, call it, okay, and they're a community within themselves. So they all interact together, although they're not in the same house. What we want to do is kind of take that same model and put them all in the same house with shared recreational, wonderful, facilities, the gymnasium and all the amenities that we can have under the roof that are already there, pretty much.
I have a question. What is the age group do you think will be the 40 people that will be staying there? And can you outline what kind of disabilities they have? Because certain disabilities, maybe they have Alzheimer's, or not Alzheimer's, they may have certain disabilities. Being close to the lake might be a problem. I mean, how,
Yeah, no, we're not going to we won't discriminate against any disability, but the majority of the folk that we would probably have would be anywhere from 28 or 25 or 21. I mean, it starts at 21 until, it could be, up to 50. And generally the disabilities are not, we don't really discriminate, but I don't think that the lake would be an issue. It's fully staffed. We're a 4-to-1 ratio. When we're in the community, our residents are escorted with staff, with support staff. So it's really the lake is not an issue.
And Wendy, how big are the homes that you currently have?
Our homes it's a different model. It's more of a family model. We have about 4 residents per home, 3 to 4 residents per home. And, it's lovely because all of our residents, like Jonathan was saying, it's a big family. It's not just one house. Like Smile, for example, is one house, which is amazing, but they only have their own house. Like our 8 houses interact with each other all the time. On Fridays we do bingo, or we do a big family dinner, or that's what gave us this idea to bring it into the school. We just thought it would be such an amazing venture to have just a community within itself, basically.
So I have a question regarding the actual physical building and what you're proposing or looking at. One of the questions I have is, from what I understand, you're going to be just remodeling the school. Is that correct? Or are you taking the school down? What is your vision?
We would use the existing structure. We would work within the existing envelope of the school and utilize the garden in the back as a garden. We would just modernize, maybe, aesthetically. I mean, the school is in pretty good shape, but we would, could probably use maybe just, I guess, looks a bit tired. We would redo the landscaping and anything else that needs to get done to the building itself. But as far as the structure is concerned, it actually works really well to what we're looking to do. We are able to take existing classrooms and divide them into each classroom would essentially yield one bedroom apartment and 1 studio apartment. Each apartment would be equipped with a separate bathroom and a kitchenette area where the residents could live and have their own privacy within the building itself.
How many square feet are each one of your living units?
So it varies. It'd probably be somewhere about 600 for 1 bedroom or so. Don't hold me to it, but however it works out, you know, when you break down the classroom, and the studios would probably be around about 400 and change square feet. You know, we would bring a new sprinkler system into the building, and of course, the building would comply with all the building codes and ordinances.
A couple people mentioned the 4-to-1 ratio. Is that a 4-to-1 ratio of staff to residents, or a 4-to-1 ratio of residents to staff?
4-to-1 ratio. Yeah, 4-to-1 ratio would be, sorry, 1 staff per 4 residents.
Okay.
That's your 40-20 number.
Correct. Correct. So you'd have 40 residents, and you'd have about, you'd have 10 staff members that would live there and stay there with the residents. And then there'd be additional staff like the program manager and a chef, and which is general maintenance and a nurse and so on and so forth.
Well, I don't really want to get involved with your operation, because what you do, you know what you do. But I think we're more concerned with the actual structure and what shape it's going to take. You know, I don't know if you've done environmental assessments, but there are issues there that we don't want you blindsided with. And our concern was always the environmental assessments on what you do before you even go inside the building. You know. And then afterwards, you know, with the mold or the asbestos or the underground tank leak. So how do you intend to approach that?
I mean, certainly we would address, so if there's something we need to be aware of, please let us know. That'd be great. We are aware of the underground oil tanks, but we don't believe there's any evidence of it leaking that we're aware of. As far as the mold, we've seen, you know, we've done a walkthrough, we've brought an architect and an engineer on site. There's definitely work that needs to get done. I think the heating system is completely, you know, need to be replaced, and the cooling system and roof probably needs to be redone. And, you know, like I said, we're going to be putting in a sprinkler system, and then we're going to be essentially inside, we're going to be pretty much redoing most of it, you know, bringing it to the residential code. And installing bathrooms and kitchenettes. Sorry.
I mean, who was that?
COA. Is there any proposal in terms of COA housing?
Well, this housing by its nature qualifies for affordable credits.
2 for 1, isn't it?
Yes.
You get a bonus with that.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
Other questions or comments from the board members?
Yeah, I do. Back on the overall building and everything, and I am just speaking for myself, but we did do a market study back a few years, and I'm not happy with the old school, okay, how it looks. And the structure itself, and obviously you need to make that determination, but I would love to see that building taken down and something new built, okay? And just speaking for myself, I think that in our redevelopment area, that's what I'm hoping for that comes here, is that someone comes and takes it down and really builds something new, something fantastic type of thing. So I just want to let you know how I'm feeling with that. That's all, with compared to a remodel.
The structure, is that a steel structure?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is the structure a steel structure?
I think it's a block structure.
Block structure.
I'm not sure.
There's a million things you can do to make it look like a different building by just adding on to the facade.
And we'd certainly be open to it. I mean, if that's what the township is looking for, we certainly, yeah, it is a masonry structure from the exterior, and if their town wants to see a certain, it has a vision in terms of what it should look like from the exterior, I mean, it would work well for us the way it is, and I think knocking the building down would create a whole other set of issues, and that don't need to be addressed if the building stays in place the way it is, but we certainly be open to beautifying it, or any aesthetic features that we could add to it. We certainly, or modify, or we'd certainly be open to that.
I think the aesthetics are very important because, again, we use form-based code, so we really have a vision or form that we have in mind, and that square school building doesn't always quite fit with that, with contemporary architecture. So the architecturals are important. I mean, the usage.
They're important. You know what? They're important to us as well. We don't want our residents to feel like they're living in an institution or in a school. So, it's in our best interest also to make it beautiful.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Make them want to live there.
And so, if you look at our market plan, it has some visual. That's not exactly the cookie cutter thing, but if you look at that, you'll see that the architecturals were a little bit different. You can do that many different ways, but that's one of the, I think that's one of the issues that we have a concern with. Your actual purpose or what you're doing is really, it's really very different than the actual form that it's going to take. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, if what you're doing is what you're doing, but what it looks like while you're doing it, I believe, is important to the board. You get what I'm saying?
Certainly.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important because one of the things is this is our town center, and we've spent a lot of time and energy with the redevelopment plan, and we're hoping for some great things happening here. So,
Bob Duncan, did you get what I did? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's part of what we've been working on for years, to try to get that whole area developed with some continuity between it. My question, Jonathan, is there any planned footprint increase to this building, or is it just the building as it sits today?
Lenny, you can talk to that, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't anticipating expanding the building itself, but as far as modernizing the existing structure and adding modern elements, such as glass, different style windows or different entrance and new landscaping and hardscape, we could definitely work and bring a design team to make it certainly, look impressive. That's something would be, as Wendy pointed out, it's that's what we'd like to see as well. So
it is an interesting site in the way it's set up with the topography around it, the houses behind it. So there's a lot of stuff happening there. It's more than just the school. There's a lot to be thought about.
Well, we're also not going to be increasing the size, the height of the building, which I would think would be a detriment to the people around there. I mean, do you want a 4 or 5 story unit there with a not so attractive parking garage? I think we can make what is there look beautiful easily.
Depending on the design, we've thought about having a parking garage as part of it. We've looked at several models, taking it up another floor if the structure was static enough to hold it, if it fits in the form, base code that we've been looking at.
Which we don't have yet.
Well, I mean, we have it in the buildings that have been built down there. We started.
Yeah, yeah, but we were very specific about each piece of property.
We really focused on the architecture, if you recall, with the townhouses and the condo. The architecturals were very important.
Yes.
In every development we've had in this town, that's been very important to this board. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I have another question. I know you guys, we just touched on, I guess, affordable housing or units or whatever. How is this whole project being funded? Or is it just private money? Is it just from the individuals that are paying to be there? Or is this a Section 8 or something like that? I don't know. I'm just curious.
No, it's not a Section 8. It's a combination. Some of it would be privately funded, and there are some of it are funded through special programs. There's funds allocated. There's with developmentally disabled agencies that are essentially meant to fund this type of projects and this type of living for the community.
Okay.
These people, even though the house, just want to point out that even though the township would receive affordable housing credits, it's not due to the fact that these people are coming from low-income families, not at all. It's just that just people with disabilities, and as Mike pointed out, there's a bonus. I think it's 2 to 1. We believe that's what it is. So if essentially, we believe that it's for 40 units, the township would get up to 80 affordable housing credits. Or at least
It's actually an incentive for businesses to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's turn things around a little. Mr. Salvaggi, do you and your group have any questions for us? Specific questions for us?
Jonathan, Wendy?
Just the big question.
Which is?
Which is, would we be welcomed in your community?
You know, I have a question. Would we be considered? Is the school considered in the big redevelopment?
At the moment,
Yes.
at the moment, it's not. It's an area in need of redevelopment, but it's not in our huge area. The area of redevelopment begins right after the school and goes to the River Styx. We're in the process of expanding that area all the way down the 607 corridor, all the way to the state park. So it will be in that area soon.
Yeah, John Rushy can answer that.
Yeah, Alan, in fact, it is it's in an area of need for redevelopment. We did pass that resolution, so it is. What we didn't do is pass a redevelopment plan, so there is no zoning that has been assigned to that property yet. So it is designated within an area in need of redevelopment, but there is no zoning set to it yet.
Yeah.
And the reason we did it that way is so that we could recommend zoning be assigned according to whoever wants to come in and develop the area, I believe.
Plus, the school was in session when we had the first plan. We didn't have that.
That's true.
So what are you bringing to Lake Hopatcong in that plan?
There was a market analysis done. Did the school offer that to you?
No.
Yeah, the borough did a marketing analysis that identified what a viable use of that property would be, and we do have a draft redevelopment plan that's basically just taking the proposal or analysis that was done in that plan, and it is in draft form, but we didn't act on it yet. So that plan is available. It's actually on the town website, so you can download it off the website and take a look at it. You know, they did recommend residential as one possible use. And
No. I mean past the school.
What do you mean past the school?
So I think when he's asking outside of the school area, the plan that's already been passed, what is the town?
It encompasses that property.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It goes from the school back towards the River Styx Bridge. It doesn't go the other direction. Right.
No, your area, that property, the limits of that property are within an area of need of redevelopment. It has that designation, but a plan has not been passed yet.
And so the plan depends on the people that wind up owning it. We'll work with them to make sure we design the rest of our ordinance to fit the actual development so that you don't need variances. So that the goal is with form-based code, at the end of the day, you won't need any variances because you're going to fit the form that we agree on. And say with form-based code, of course, there's no side yard, front yard, backyard. It's what we agree on. That's what the form-based code does. Now we've already subscribed to that. And what allows us to do that is it is in the area in need of redevelopment, which means you have all the benefits if you choose to take care of it. And what we've done with our area in need of development, we use the pilot program for improvements. So with the pilot program, which is a tax incentive, of course, the property, only the improvements come under the pilot program. So that's payment in lieu of taxes, by the way. And so that's the benefit of area in need of redevelopment. And the form-based code allows us to do step 2, as John described. So when someone comes along and says, okay, now we own it, we know it's in the area in need of development, this is what we want to do. And we work with you to finish our ordinance so that you don't need variances. A little oversimplified, but that's basically what we do.
And that would be the approach, Mayor, regardless of who was the successful bidder on this project.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. So really, the issue is not really what you're going to do there. The issue really is property. I want to make sure that people understand that housing is housing, architecture is architecture. And so I don't want to get hung up on people's biases one way or another, because that's not what we want to do here. What we want to do is going to benefit zoning and benefit the community and benefit the area in need of redevelopment.
Well, then let me ask a question, because while the land use board has a part of that, obviously the redevelopment process is a collaboration between the governing body, the planning board, and there's also quite a bit of input sought from the public at large.
Yeah.
What would be the feeling of the public at large? Because, historically, there's, and unfortunately, sometimes what we're proposing is not very well received by the greater community.
Well, there are other properties in town which are developmentally disabled people, some of which are not even known to the general public. Really, the only one that's very well known is the Smile Project.
So we do have other group homes. That's not the issue here. I don't know that our ordinance even addresses that. Residential is residential, commercial is commercial, industrial is industrial, and we kind of approach it that way with our planning, with our property plan, because it's really, we address the property, we address and the usage of the property. So if the usage is residential, then it's residential.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, we can't comment on what the public comments will be.
Right.
Obviously, you're in the business and you've been in other applications, and it can get confrontational with, concern regarding, what type of impact it's going to have on the community. And certainly, if you have disabilities where the majority of people are on wheelchairs, there's usually less concerns, because then, it's really more confined to the building versus, residents are going to say, are you going to have 40 residents hanging out in the front yard? Is that what you're going to have? All that's going to come out. There's going to be concerns. Is this going to have a burden on the municipal services? Are the police going to be there all the time? Are the emergency services are going to be there all the time? And all those questions will come out for the application. But
a quick question for you: should you be the successful winner of the auction, what's your timing? Is this a 6-month plan, 1-year plan, 18-month plan? What's your plan?
Well, we would look to get started right away, and then if a redevelopment plan could be put into place, as soon as we're permitted to file, in the meanwhile, we would start working on the drawings and filing building permits as soon as possible. So we're ready to move and ready to move, promptly.
Yeah, let me ask you this. I think it's given, retail and businesses, it's a difficult corridor to really have, a lot of thriving businesses. And so I think residential will probably be, the more, desirable for anyone looking to develop that piece of property. So how would you make the argument that this use is better than this being just a residential use, a standard residential use of, apartments for, just general public?
Because I think that our residents bring so much to a community. by getting involved with the elderly or in other situations. I'd like to go in front of the board and figure out what what is needed as far as volunteer work. Are Meals on Wheels needed for that we can go and volunteer and just bring all of that to the community. I think that's huge. And if we wanted to open, I know across the street from the school there was a cafe there that has gone out of business. We would love to take over that cafe, and actually we don't need to turn a profit. We just need our guys to work. So it's like a beautiful.
What cafe
Sorry?
are you referring to?
What's that?
What cafe are you referring to?
I think in the corner across the street, underneath the condos or the apartments that are there.
The coffee shop.
The coffee shop. Okay.
Sorry.
The coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yes, the coffee shop. So, we don't, we would be doing it to employ our folks. We're not doing it to turn a huge profit. So that should be attractive to, to the community, because there's already been something there that went out, and we want to do it. I haven't been there in the summer. Certainly to know what the traffic is by the beach there, right across from the building. But, I'd love to put where that, I don't know how else to
Crescent
describe
Cove
it.
Beach Club, yeah.
But there's like a building right in front of there that looks vacant. I mean, how amazing would it be to have like a refreshment stand for the beach? Again, I don't know what the foot traffic is there, but we're looking to enhance the community as well as enhancing our residents' lives. So to me, it's a win-win for both the community and for our demographic, really.
And I think, John, to your point about from a land use perspective, it's not a heavy traffic generating site because the residents, by and large, don't drive. The traffic is really from the staff that's in there. This is also a supervised arrangement, which minimizes the possibility of issues, noise late at night that you wouldn't have if this was just a traditional apartment. And the other thing is that the people that are selected to go into this type of housing are high functioning adults. And God forbid there was somebody that couldn't conform, they're going to be asked to leave. So, you wouldn't have that same situation if it was an apartment and you had, some, let's say, less than desirable tenants in there, which sometimes is a lot harder to get rid of. So from a land use perspective, this probably has a far less impact on the community than would be if you had apartments and had 40 non-disabled individuals in it.
Have you done anything this size before?
What was that?
Have you done anything this size before?
I think it's directed for Jonathan, Wendy, Larry.
Yeah, I think what the houses that Wendy's managing right now, in terms of total number of residents, it's close to 40, but it's actually spread out amongst 8 different houses, which is.
I visited one of your houses. I believe it was. I think it was East Orange, and the only way you could tell it was a special needs house was the van in the front yard. But we went in there and I was impressed. This was before we built Smiles. because we had similar concerns. And there's always a concern, whether people admit it or not, there is, because it's different. And sometimes people fear difference. That's the truth of the matter. And so I just want to make sure we don't get tripped up with that. But I did visit a house which I think it had 4, 5. And I don't know if it was one of yours, but it was either East Orange or West Orange. I'd like to say it was East Orange. It was just in one of the neighborhoods. It was a ranch style house.
Right. Yeah, we're only in South Orange and Maplewood.
Yeah, because Sylvia and I, the previous mayor and I went and visited it because there was concern when we were building the Smile House, and so it's educational to say the least. But I just want to make sure we stay with the land use end of it. I know there's always concerns with our public about the actual nuts and bolts usage, but I really want to stay focused on the property, the architecture, and make sure it fits what we want to do with our zoning.
I guess the question is, are you going to be looking or asking for a tax abatement or anything?
Well, they're entitled to if it's the area they need to
No,
redevelop.
they're not entitled to it, Mayor. They're not necessarily. Bill, would you agree? They're not entitled.
Well, they're entitled to apply for it.
They're entitled to apply for it, correct?
Yes.
I think, in all fairness, as their attorney, I would recommend that they look at it. A lot of it is going to depend, quite candidly, on acquisition costs, approval costs, what it would take to convert the building, and if the numbers are such that a financial agreement is really going to be advantageous to make this go. Don't forget too, this type of product, there are monies available to fund this type of housing, and more than likely, with the change in administration, I think there'll be federal dollars that'll be available as well. So a pilot may not be necessary if the financing can be acquired through other low interest programs.
Yeah, because that was not one of the main focuses of the redevelopment plan to offer tax abatements. It's a special case for the borough to consider it.
Yeah, it's discretionary. We understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And on we go.
Go ahead.
Well, I think, Jonathan, Wendy, Larry, you guys have any more questions?
No, just yeah.
Okay. Well, look, if no one has, I know you have other matters waiting behind us. We appreciate the time. We appreciate the input. And I think, these guys will take it under advisement, and I think it'll frame their decision as to whether and what they do vis-a-vis the auction.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Silvaggi, and Lenny and John and Wendy. Thank you very much for.
Except I just wanted to clarify. I just want to make sure that Michael and maybe this is So what does the board actually think? Did you guys think it's a good idea? Do you think this is something that would be advantageous for this is something that the town would welcome as into the community, or do you think this would be, I just wanted to get
As a land use board, we would welcome the housing aspect of it. As far as the community, we can't speak for the whole community. We, it will be open to, there will be meetings where the community will have the opportunity to ask questions and to express their concerns. But as a
typically the board doesn't vote on these type of matters, and it's non-binding even if they did.
Sure.
But I've heard a lot of work sessions, and you weren't driven out of the meeting, so that's a.
Stop while you're ahead.
All right, great.
All right.
Nobody. I don't think we heard no anywhere. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, great.
That helps. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for
thank
attending
you.
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on. We'll hold the correspondence because the three matters of correspondence all refer to continued applications. So we'll deal with them as the applications come up. First, we have Giovanni Cherboga, block 50208, lot 22, 239 Squaw Trail. He was supposed to come back. It's continued from the October 20th, 2020 meeting, and he is asking for a continuance. I would recommend that we continue this until the January, or let's see, is it January, February? February 9th, yes, February 16th, is it? until the second, February 16th meeting. And I would recommend that this be continued with notice. And the reason I recommend this be continued with notice is because we had a resident in the area who was concerned with what was going on. And I think it's necessary for us to let those people know when we're going to be hearing this.
Well, it's been an extended time too. It's from October, so, you know, this is a lengthy continuance.
So would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. So the motion is to continue this to the February 16th with notice.
Yes.
Danielle?
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Toppin?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Second, Bella Rosa Realty, Block 10707, lots 6, 7, 8, and 9, Lakeside Boulevard. They were continued from December 15th of 20. They also are requesting a continuance. And on this one, I would recommend also a continuance with notice for the same reason. We have people who were concerned, who showed up at the last meeting when they presented their case the first time, and I think it's incumbent upon us to let people know when we're going to be hearing this.
Would that be to the 16th as well?
Yes. February 16th.
Should we look at having all three of these on the February 16th meeting, or we're going to be till 1 o'clock?
That's all right. It's got to happen.
I get up at 3:30, so I may drop out.
Take a nap.
Start the meeting earlier.
You're saying we don't plan 3 long hearings in one shot.
Talk fast.
What?
Talk fast.
Did any of these next?
You
Well,
wanna
I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump to the last one yet. But did any of these guys request any length of time on their extension?
Yeah. 2 of them requested the 16th.
And someone didn't request any time?
Well, the first one didn't request any special time, but he's having trouble getting some approvals.
Should we push him out further than the 16th?
Yeah. Why don't we push him out and then do the separate them?
Okay, well, we could do that.
So
And do we have to backtrack now that we've already voted on it?
Well, we could change that.
Oh boy.
Want to go to March 2nd or March 2nd on that one instead? The first one?
Yep.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Okay, who made that motion?
I did, Justin.
Want to change the motion to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
motion to continuance with notice, March 2nd.
And I'll second that.
Okay.
Carabago.
Right.
Chirbago, yep.
Chirbago.
Right.
Any objection to that?
Nope.
Okay, Danielle, we'll just change that. Bill Haggerty, does that require another vote?
Let's vote it. Let's vote it quick.
Vote on. Danielle?
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Toppin?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Okay, Bella Rosa, somebody want to make a motion on the Bella Rosa?
I'll make the motion.
And
Yeah,
that was
Justin.
the
With notice?
16th, correct? With notice. February 16th?
February 16th.
Who was the second?
Justin.
Gotcha.
Never.
Pick one, Danielle.
All right.
Take your choice.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Toppin?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor
Starting to look
Francis,
like, yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. And we also have Mark Annis, Block 50208, Lot 26, 247 Squaw Trail. They are requesting a continuance until February 16th. Now, their request is actually without renotice. I would recommend that we extend it with notice for the same reason.
I agree.
And that's a continuation from October 20th also. Somebody want to make that motion?
I make that motion with notice.
Okay, with notice.
Second. Second.
Okay,
Mr.
Danielle?
Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mr. Leggio,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Tappan,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis.
Yeah.
Got me. Don't forget me.
Oh, Mr. Gilbert, sorry.
That's okay.
I got sidetracked.
That takes care of all of the continued applications and
Looking like a
the
rec commission.
the three pieces of correspondence to go with them. We now have a new application, Ryan Hamilton, Block 31603, Lot 50, 4 Walton Road. Mr. Hamilton would like to construct an addition to the home.
No.
There are various variances being requested. Mr. Hamilton here.
Yes. Mr. Hamilton, would you raise your right hand? Do you testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton, you're the property owner?
Yes.
Okay, this is a D variance because this is in the business zone, so only the class 4 members can participate.
I will recuse, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Mr. Chairman, I will also recuse.
Thank you, Mr. Schindler. Mr. Hamilton, let's start by talking about the report from Mott McDonald, letter dated November 23rd, 2020. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Technical review? Let's go to the technical review portion. Number 1, the property contains a 150-foot riparian zone. Do you have any problem with demonstrating compliance that this should be noted on the and that this should be noted on the plans?
No.
Okay. Number 2, there's an existing encroachment onto the neighboring lot 51. What do you propose to do about that?
Which encroachment?
There are stone steps and a stone mason wall encroaching onto the neighboring lot 51.
That I really haven't addressed. It's actually below the neighbor's property, and I really
Well,
wasn't.
according to the survey, it's on their property. So something has to be done about that. You either have to relocate them, or you have to obtain permission.
Easement. Or he can buy 10 feet of that guy's property.
Yeah, property is so small over there.
Well, that property is 102 feet long. His
Yeah.
is very narrow, but the other one's 102 feet, I think, if I'm reading it right.
Oh yeah, that you're true. Yep.
So those stone steps, are they servicing your property or is that servicing the,
His property actually sits about 4 foot above that encroachment area. It's actually just a runoff for his driveway.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, my point was really, is there any encroachments that really aren't functional and useful that you could just, correct that deficiency or that issue that just maybe creeped over time? Like, are you functionally using those steps? Because I'm not sure.
No, actually, it's he actually built a wall at the end of his driveway where he actually could have built it onto that area.
Well, who owns the wall? You do, or does he?
He does.
Then do we even need to worry about it?
Yeah, my point was really those stone steps that are there and just.
But they're not walkable stone steps.
take them down.
Can they be removed?
Yeah, I don't really, I mean, they call them steps. They're really just a pile of rocks.
Now that's on your adjacent property, or that's on yours?
It
Half and
actually
half.
shares. It runs down the middle of it. It's probably a 3.5 foot trench between the properties. It's on my level. It's about 4 foot below his.
And my point was, this is not uncommon, with a lot of background. And if there's any encroachments that could be eliminated just to, clean up the site a bit, that's my point. So
Well, I'll be honest with you. I actually, it was full of dirt and leaves and rocks, and I actually had my guys dig it all out and actually pour concrete so it's flat. And then I asked the neighbor what he wanted to do with it. If he wants to move his driveway or build a wall there, he's more than welcome to. There's nothing there.
Okay. Now, these are minor. I don't know if the board needs to overthink these, but I just thought if there was anything that you can do to eliminate some of those encroachments, make this a part of the application. You can't, approve that, it's a pre-existing condition. And so, any approval from the board to exclude any encroachments, those are separate issues. Property owners.
Mr. Hamilton, where is your septic system?
Yes.
In the front of the house, under the driveway.
Really?
Where is the driveway?
Right in front of the house.
Yeah, it's almost the whole entire front of the house, right? It's mostly.
Yeah, it has a 1,000-gallon commercial tank. That's why they put that tank in there so you could park on it.
So you have a holding tank?
Yeah.
Right, so it's not even a septic. You just have to get it pumped out periodically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I frankly, years ago you had that done. Did you have it done, or?
No, I just bought the house. It was done in '91. I just have.
Yeah, that's because I remember that application coming through, actually.
And that has to be shown on the plans.
Yeah. Now that you mention it with that holding tank. But so my point was, I didn't recall at the time when I did the review, is your proposed work going to impact that? And I see it won't, right? Because all the work is being towards the lakeside.
Yeah, I mean, that's being untouched. That's the work's on the back side of the house.
Okay.
And number 4, due to proximity to Lake Hopatcong, soil erosion and sediment control measures, such as the use of silt fence, should be noted on the plans and utilized during construction. Do you have any problem with that?
No.
Okay.
Now, I had trouble actually figuring out what was going on here. Everything is so small, it was really hard for me to decipher what's going on. So could you please explain it a little bit to us?
Well, the back of the house has a 10-foot deck, upper level. Below it has an 8-foot paver patio. So really, I just want to actually clean the house because the deck there is just, it's not pressure treated. It's old. It's rotten. I want to make a clean sweep, pour footings on the same footprint, but I'm going to go out another 2 foot. So it'll be, instead of 8 foot, it'll be 10 foot. And then use and have that as the same size, 10 foot longer living space, but the deck will now be a rooftop deck.
The deck will be what? Repeat that?
It'll be the same deck, but it'll actually be the roof of the living space. So the footprint really is only going to change 2 foot.
So the living space is going to be underneath what is now the deck.
Yes.
And the deck itself is going to be a deck, but the deck is going to have a roof on it.
The deck is going to be the roof of the living space. It'll be a rooftop deck.
You're just filling in the area under the deck.
I'm just taking the pavers out, pouring footings, and building structure on top of it.
So that would be the family room then?
Yeah.
And it indicates on the application, expand family room / bathroom. Where is the bathroom?
Bathroom will take 9 by 12 of the, I guess it's the laundry room behind the living space. The existing wall that's there, it'll be on the other side of it.
Okay.
The new bathroom's inside the house, the existing house.
Yes.
It
And is
shows
this-
darkened walls right next to the steps. Correct?
What was that? Can you repeat that?
It's shown with darkened walls right next to the steps in the inside
Yes.
area of the house.
Yes.
We have basement floor plan.
Yep.
Okay. And does that replace a bathroom that's there, or is it an
No.
additional bathroom?
No, new bathroom.
New bathroom. And Bill Haggerty, does that require permission from the county at all, or whoever controls septics?
But it's a whole.
Septics are calculated based upon bedrooms and not bathrooms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've had that discussion before. You could have like 15 bathrooms, but you can only have like one bedroom.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Right. There's the logic, Justin.
Yep. Okay. Any comments, questions from the board? There was something about parking that I wanted to ask. Is that an existing nonconformance? Let's see, parking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's existing, but then it becomes a variance because we're expanding the structure.
Yeah, well, okay, so requirement is for what, 2?
2.
And existing is 1?
Effectively, yeah. It's supposed to be 2 10-foot by 20-foot spaces.
And there's only 1 now.
Yeah.
And there'll continue to be 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a problem.
There's no way. He
What
can't
triggers
get.
it?
No possible way of correcting it.
I know.
What triggers that with the expansion? The square footage of the expansion?
It's the fact that you require that, and you're expanding the building. It's the way we've since the sewers came into town. It's a method of just we've been holding all the expansions to the same standard.
Except I don't. I mean, he's technically not doing much of an expansion here because it's already impermeable surface. He's just basically putting walls up.
That's exactly why the variance is really appropriate in this case. If this were a situation where we had a house that had a sewer, and therefore they were not going to be controlled with the number of bedrooms, and all of a sudden they could end up with 4 or 5 bedrooms, then having the minimum parking of 2 spaces is very important. In this case, this is an expansion for just really for living space, convenience. It's not going to be bringing more people into the house. So
Right.
Effectively, the parking probably doesn't really make it. It's not going to change.
That's where I was going with my point. Is he's not adding a bedroom. He's just bumping a wall out for a little bit more elbow room.
There's no way he can expand the parking anyway. There's no place to put it. It is
I
what
don't
it
know if
is.
it makes a difference, but I asked you to put the property across the street.
That's a tight road to begin with.
Oh,
That's why I brought the property so I could park.
Yeah.
Justin, I agree. This is not expanding any more people. So this is just an expansion of elbow room to make it more livable. Or whatever he wants to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's upgrading a bad deck, putting a new deck on, and just enclosing below it.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty simple.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
Got to open it to the public
Wait,
now?
let's
I
open
get
it
open
to
to
the public.
public.
Anybody from the public want to ask questions or make any comments about this application? Anybody at all? If you do, go down to the bottom of your screen to reactions and raise your hand. None, I'll bring it back to the board. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, the motion is to approve it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Danielle?
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Toppin,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Abstain. Okay. That is passed.
Perfect.
Okay, that is the last of our new applications.
Thank
Is
you,
he
everybody.
May I
planning on
ask-
starting construction?
Mr. Hamilton, will you be needing to get going on this very quickly?
Yeah.
Would you like to request a waiver of memorialization?
Yes, if I could.
Okay, somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion is to waive memorialization so that Mr. Hamilton could begin pulling permits.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Lejo,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Mr. Toppin,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Abstain. Okay, Mr. Hamilton, you have our permission. You can go to the construction office and start pulling permits as soon as is necessary.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
Zoning officer, you have a report for us.
Yes, I actually have picked up one question that since the agenda was put together. 104 Santa Clara Trail. It was a new house that was approved with a number of variances back in April of 2017. After that, the foundation was installed and the project stalled. The property has been sold, and the new owner is in to take up the project. The conditions, under the conditions of approval, it did indicate that the building be built according to the architectural plans. In this case, he's actually using exactly the same architect and engineer. There's a few very minor differences. The building size is exactly the same. The height between the two plans is, it's actually showing about an inch difference. In reality, the engineering plan does show the right side of the house is going to be 1.5 feet higher than the original plan prescribed, but the left side is going to be exactly the same. I believe that's got to do with just the way it's going to be graded. But ultimately, I do not see any new variances triggered. Danielle does have these that she could put up if anybody wants to see the approved and the proposed. But I was just wanted to check to see the board was okay with me approving.
I have no problem with it.
If they can build it to within 1 inch of what they had proposed, God bless them.
Right.
And I want you to go out and measure it.
All right. Well,
Stand on Ron's shoulders.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Bill?
Oh, that's all.
Okay. Discussion. What do we have? Discussion. Anything for discussion?
I have a comment. I just want to let you people know that the Morristown COVID vaccine center is open, and if you sign up on New Jersey to get your vaccine, that does not get you in line to go to the Sears building in Rockaway Center. You have
Oh,
to
my
sign up
goodness.
on a separate sign-up sheet. And if you want me to, I will work with Danielle and give you the list of the phone number and the website that you need to sign up to go for the Rockaway, to get your vaccine in Rockaway if you're interested. But you can't, because you've signed up on New Jersey, doesn't put you in the queue for Morristown. For the Rockaway Mall unit.
I'm probably the only one that can say this, but I don't think I'm phased in yet. I'm under 40 and
It's 65 and over can sign up.
yeah, see, I don't apply.
Right.
Thank you, though, for me.
Have Danielle pass it along. Good luck. Good luck getting the vaccine. They're running out. And I won't even get into mayors. We don't even want to get the mayor started on this one. This is not good.
I'm just trying to be helpful, that's all.
I know you
Sorry.
are, Bill. Coach, thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. But this is a sore subject in our world. We've been dealing with this all week.
Okay. Let's move on to resolutions.
Mr. Gilbert, I have a question.
Yes.
We were discussing, we listened to the people, what they wanted to do over at the Hudson School. It brought up something that when Smiles was built, I think we discussed that traffic for those residents going across the street, let's say to get a soda pop or whatever. Now I realize it's a county road, but I see nothing there, and I witnessed something the other day, people trying to cross there. It wasn't good. I thought the crosswalk or something was supposed to go in. Again, it's a county road. It probably would have to be by the county. Is that correct?
Yeah, the county's is in the works of upgrading that intersection, which isn't going to include upgrades.
I think they need to get a kick in the you-know-what.
Yeah. Our project stopped short of it because they were taking the lead for work in the intersection itself.
But again, I think they need a kick in the you-know-what. They're
Fair enough.
dragging their feet here. That's not good.
Understood.
Not good. There's going to be a problem.
Mark, I couldn't agree. They need a kick in a whole bunch of areas right now.
Yes,
That's
yes.
one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
But they try so hard.
They have good intentions.
Yeah.
Resolution. Hearing date December 1st. Ryan Devaney. Motion is in order to approve the Devaney resolution granting approval of a home occupation at 107 Blackfoot Trail, block 50303, lot 31.
So moved.
Second.
Danielle?
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yep.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Tappan?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Get Mr. Bongiovanni?
He's an alternate. He doesn't have to vote on this. We have enough voting members.
Aha, okay.
Hudson
Take that.
Farm, December 15th, 2020. A motion is in order to approve the Hudson Farm resolution granting amended site plan approval permitting the installation of electronic gate system servicing driveways and the addition of 2 stone columns to support the gates at 270 Stanhope Sparta Road, block 50002, lot 7.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Tappan?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Tara McMinn, December 15th, 2020. Motion is in order to approve the McMinn resolution granting variance to permit the construction of an addition and basement at 24 West River Styx Road, block 30702, lot 2.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Tappan?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Scott Wood, December 15th, 2020. Motion is in order to approve the Wood resolution for variances to permit the expansion of a non-conforming structure of a property improved with 2 residential structures at 213 Maxim Drive, Block 31101, Lot 45.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Toppin?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Escrow refund for information only. There was a $1,000 refund to Matt Griffiths.
I would tell you, if you've seen what that guys did with that property, it's impressive.
It is. It's awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Should we pay the bills?
Pay the bills.
With all the controversy on Dolan and Dolan, I don't know. Should we?
What controversy are you referring to?
Thank you.
I'll just pick 2. Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mr. Lejo?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Toppin?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. I will now open the meeting to the public for any comments or questions at all that the public may have for this board. If you're a member of the public and you'd like to address the board on any issue at all, please go to the bottom of your screen to reactions and raise your hand. I will wait for a moment as Mr. Tappan looks over the screens.
Mayor Modes. Let's see here. Here we go.
Ms. Modes, you want to be sworn in, please?
There we go.
Sure.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a questions about the resolution 2021-05, the required disclosure contracts.
Right.
It doesn't specify what contracts they are, for whom, how many people, responded, were they advertised. It doesn't give any information. So I was wondering if I could get some information.
Danielle, you want to handle that?
Sure. I can send her a copy of the resolution.
Okay.
Well, did you award a contract or?
No, this is to authorize the award of required disclosure contracts. That's for professional services. It's if we have to do it. We've not awarded any contracts.
It's for the authorization
but
only.
that would be like the engineer, the lawyer, the whatever
Well,
professionals.
the engineer and the lawyer are under contract. If we have to employ another engineer, or if we have to employ another attorney, it would refer to that.
Okay, so it's any professional that you need outside of what you have.
That is correct.
Okay, and there were 2 comments I had about the Hudson Maxim School.
Yep.
One is that they were saying that they might want to interact with the seniors. That's a congregate nutrition program, and it's leased out to the county from 10 to 2.
Well, there are a couple of different senior groups in town. There's also the one that meets over at the church.
Right, but they specifically said they didn't say the senior center. They said the community center. So I'm thinking that they think that that's really a community center. It was just a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And the second one was the where they put the crosswalk by ET Deli is a bit of a problem, because you come around that sharp turn, and if people are crossing there, it's kind of hard to see. So I don't think you could do anything about it, because it's county road, but it's just a comment.
Keep it below 60 and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else from the public want to address the board? Anybody at all? Okay, I will bring it back to the board. Old business.
Anything going?
Danielle, is there any update on the ID cards?
I'm still waiting for a few pictures. I'll go through the file and see who I'm waiting for.
Okay, thank you. Any other
Can we
old
get 'em-
business?
Can we just get made what we have at this point, rather than waiting another couple months? If there's a couple outstanding, let them go separately. They can make them. Why not just make them? Make what you have.
I'll talk to Ron. We'll work it out.
We can do it. We got a couple options with that now. So yeah, we can go as fast as you want on this one.
I mean, they're in-house, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Good. Any other old business? New business? Mayor?
I'd like to ask the mayor where he got his backdrop. It's really nice.
That is a picture of a picture that I have hanging on the wall of my office. It was presented to me by the Lake Commission a couple years back.
Where is that? Is that River Styx? That's back at going across the River Styx Bridge is behind you, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And your computer has to have a quad 4 processor to be able to do virtual backgrounds like that.
I have no idea. I struggled with it. I finally did it. I don't know how I did it. I just kept hitting buttons.
You had to ask him that. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I said a lot of bad words too.
Mayor Francis, you had something you wanted to bring up.
Oh, I forget. I know we're going to be working on Witten Park. You'll get a presentation for that soon. We don't have any plan to show you yet. It started with the stream renovation, and then we had Rutgers there. They'll be working with us, and I suggested that we make it a really nice park. We don't have anything to show you yet, but when we have something, we will. And
Where's
so the
that?
land use board will review it.
Where was that? I didn't hear what you
Witten
said.
Park.
Witten.
Well,
Any other new business?
Al, we got Colleen Lyons would like to come on if it's okay.
Sure.
Colleen, come on in.
Hi, I was just going to comment on what Mayor Francis said, and I don't know how much background information you have on what is happening at Witten Park, but I just wanted to clarify from the commission standpoint and the foundation, we've identified a source of funding through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and we're hopeful that we would, get awarded that grant, but we actually haven't applied yet. The announcement will be made in February, and the application will be due in April, we think. So we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row. There'll be a couple of different projects throughout the watershed, and one of those includes Witten Park. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm surprised you didn't have anything to say about the one application we did have tonight.
I could have, but it was mentioned. It wasn't a very big increase in impervious, and I don't know where they would put any recharge if they've already got a tank for their septic.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
You can't even sneeze if you go on that property. Okay. Anyway, is there any other old business, new business? Anybody want to approach the board? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.